What if you had instant analytics on your PDP images and a faster way to create content that performs better? That's what we're diving into in today's episode, how top brands and retailers are using analytics and automation to stay ahead across retail media and the digital shelf. It's Rapid helps teams scale smarter. They analyze image performance, they help you create optimized assets for retail media networks and the digital shelf, and they integrate directly with PIM and DAM systems for seamless execution. Brands like Pepsi, Mondelez, and Instacart use its Rapid to go beyond basic tools to uncover gaps in PDP and retail media performance by analyzing the images themselves, not just the count. Streamline banner creation across hundreds of formats for Amazon Ads, Walmart Connect, and other retail and social platforms, and launch high-performing content more than 80% faster across e-commerce and marketing channels. If you're buried in manual work or struggling to keep up, this episode and It's Rapid will show you a better way. Visit itsrapid.ai to learn more.
Welcome to Beyond the Shelf with Dave Feinlieb. This show is an open exploration of the people and process behind e-commerce. Through conversations with innovators in the space, we learn the stories of these leaders and their strategies for e-commerce success. We publish new episodes every Tuesday morning, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Dave Feinlieb.
Welcome back to Beyond the Shelf. Today we're joined once again by Jeff Cohen, Principal Evangelist at Amazon Ads. Jeff first joined us in 2024, and since then, both Amazon's ad ecosystem and the broader retail media space have continued to evolve at breakneck speed. In our last conversation, Jeff walked us through his path from textbooks.com to Seller Labs to Amazon, and how he's built a career around helping brands navigate what's next in performance marketing. What makes Jeff such a valuable voice in this space is his rare ability to make the complex feel clear, breaking down the role of DSPs, streaming, creative, and audience building in ways that are actionable, not abstract. This time, we're digging into what's changed in the last year, what still trips brands up, and what it really takes to win on the Amazon shelf, digital, and beyond. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Super excited to be here. Love sharing with your audience. I love the feedback that I got from your audience. A lot of your audience was reaching out to me on LinkedIn. Love that. Love hearing from people. Love hearing what challenges they're having and understanding sometimes, the impact of what we're doing.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to be back on the show. Glad to hear about the feedback. Tell us what's new in Amazon's full funnel strategy since we last spoke, especially offsite and buy with Prime.
Yeah, I would venture to say that a lot has changed in the last year. As you said it, this industry is moving at a breakneck pace. I think the biggest thing that's changed is that Amazon advertising today is really a full funnel strategy for everyone, which means that whether you sell on Amazon or whether you have your own direct to consumer website, or whether you have a product or a service and you don't sell on Amazon, you can access Amazon Ads as a way to reach customers and drive traffic for your brand. That's a super exciting evolution of the Amazon ad product. And it's one that a lot of brands are tapping into as Amazon democratizes streaming television, Prime Video, live sports in ways that are making it more accessible for brands with all types of budgets.
I love it. And just to take us back, when we started in the space, it would be ads literally on Amazon.com. And what you're talking about here is we've kind of taken that and now we can be on all kinds of different services, even if we're not selling a product on Amazon directly.
Yeah, I think there's two pieces of this. One is the traditional Amazon, what we call the canvas, right? So Amazon.com, but you also have to think about Prime Video, Wondery, Amazon Music, Twitch, Alexa, right? All the different components, Whole Foods, all of those type of components. That's the Amazon inventory owned and operated. But Amazon and the DSP also gets you into our third party supply. So using the Amazon DSP, you can run on premium sites such as Hulu, Paramount, Disney, ESPN, and I could go on and on and on with the third party supply that we have. And then the beauty of that is that, yeah, like you said, it used to be for brands that sold on Amazon, they were trying to drive traffic to Amazon to drive their Amazon sales. Uh, you can now drive that traffic to your direct to consumer website. And you don't even have to be selling a product. You could be trying to drive services because you're selling insurance or travel or any other, set of service. What you're using is you're using Amazon's billions and trillions of signals to identify potential shoppers for your brand. And Amazon's able to do that in a measurable way that can triangulate back to tell you the impact that your ads are having on the traffic and the conversions that you're driving on site and off site.
Great. Now, Ads 101 DSP. Will you tell us what that means and what do we use it for?
Yeah. So the easiest way to think about the DSP and any DSP is really the ability to, it kind of started off in the early days as display ads, right? And it was the ability to place display ads across websites, across the internet. Today, the DSP allows you to do, so there's two ways to buy within the DSP. One is to use our self-service tool where Amazon is using our products like Performance Plus or Performance Plus or Brand Plus, which is using our intelligence and our AI to find the best audiences for your products and your brands, delivering your ads, display or video ads to those customers and driving the outcomes that you desire. The other is that if you want to get more hands-on keyboard or you want to work with an agency that's more hands-on keyboard, you can come in and you can pick which types of audiences, which types of signals you want to use to find different audiences or potential audiences that can be customers for your brand. Now, Amazon has a tool called Amazon Marketing Cloud, which allows you to identify and understand aggregated data across your customer base. So you don't have any personal identifiable data, but you can see aggregated data to understand what demographics are driving sales. And the best way to explain this is you see like your path to purchase. And what that might demonstrate for you is like, let's say you have a larger catalog. You might identify that when males between 45 and 55 buy product A, they tend to buy product B. And therefore, when you're running an ad on the DSP, you would want to lead in with product A because you know that when you sell product A, it then leads to product B later down the road.
That makes total sense. So what are you seeing brands do? Is it working for them? What could they be doing differently or what should they be taking advantage of?
Yeah, I think it's a very broad question because it kind of depends on where you're at in your own personal journey. But I think that what's important is that you start to understand what the audiences and the signals are that Amazon has. And I think like the best practice is to start setting up what we like to call a test and learn campaign. Now, depending on the size of your budget, a test and learn campaign can be from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars.
So I don't need to drop Super Bowl ad dollars.
You don't need to know, but here's what's really interesting, right? Poppy, who ran a Super Bowl ad, 2 years ago, were running very simple CTV ads on Amazon. And so you can scale your business quickly when you identify that things are working for your brand. And that's what's really, I think, interesting and exciting is you can come in, you can start testing video, you can start testing connected TV, which is the streaming TV platforms, whether it be the Amazon Fire Stick or Roku. You can use the signals that Amazon has to identify audiences, place your ads in those audiences, see how they're performing, and then scale the ones that are and make adjustments to the ones that are not.
What a great story from a test and learn all the way to a Super Bowl ad. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was super exciting when I talked to their team, and I went back through the impetus of kind of how they got to where they were, and they said they just kept doubling down on what was working.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Tell us about audiences. First off, what are they and how should we be thinking about them?
Yeah, so audiences are going to be a collection of demographics and psychographics that are driving a particular action that you want, right? And so Amazon Marketing Cloud by its nature will demonstrate what audiences are. And audiences could be, I'll give you like two totally variations of audiences, right? So an audience could be people who have bought your product two or more times and have a propensity to buy your product a third time, right? That could be an audience. An audience could be somebody who has bought one of your products but has the ability to grow into buying other products. That is a different audience. An audience could be this person has the propensity to buy your product based on the number of ads that they've seen or the number of times that they've viewed your product detail page, right? All of those can be potential audiences. And then you can look at how that audience is made up, right? Are there any consistencies across that audience? Oh, everybody in this audience loves pets. And we've identified that when people love pets and they also love live sports, they're more likely to potentially be interested in your product. And then that opens up a new marketing arena for you to potentially find new shoppers.
This is great. So I want to talk about creative. For those who haven't worked with the tool set, what form does this take? Am I getting Excel files? Do I have a dashboard? Is it raw data? What's the format and how should I work with it?
What's beautiful about that is that as marketers, we have a lot of assumptions of who our customers are, who our potential customers are, who's buying from us, what the value of them are. When you start to look at Amazon Marketing Cloud data, what you can identify is, are your assumptions correct? Are there audiences that you haven't considered? So maybe there's an audience that is a different demographic, but they tend to buy your product for your demographic, right? They're buying them as gifts. And so maybe there's a way to market in with different creative to that audience. And you can do some hyper targeting within the Amazon DSP that allows you to send different creative to different audiences based on the actions you want them to take.
This is great. For those who haven't worked with the tool set, what form does this data take? Am I getting Excel files? Do I have a dashboard? Is it raw data? What's the format that I would work with that data in?
If we're talking about the DSP, there's two ways to really access the DSP. One is to go through one of our resellers, so somebody who can provide you access to it. The other is to work with an agency who has their own seat. I don't want to say that the DSP is complicated and you can't figure it out on your own, but there are a lot of nuances to it. And so working with somebody who has experience in developing DSP campaigns can help you accelerate your growth and your learning curve faster. Now, if you want to do more of a self-service type of model, there are self-service opportunities within the Amazon Ad Console where you can literally just go in and create a streaming TV campaign in the same way that you would create a sponsored TV campaign. Right. And we can talk about how you get the creative for that. But within the advertising console, you have the ability to create sponsored product ads. You have the ability to create sponsored brand, and you also have the ability to create sponsored TV ads. So we've really democratized this to where you don't need to have all of the knowledge of audience building that you would need for running DSP campaigns, and you can still run these streaming TV campaigns to start testing them out to see how they're working for your brand.
What I find so fascinating about this is that you could both figure out new audiences, like you were saying, and you could have these assumptions when you're building your marketing plans, see that new opportunity, and then have the ability to go action it. Obviously, that's great because now I could potentially tap into a new segment of buyers, additional products in the portfolio, things like that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I've often found that even from my early days of doing the Amazon space, like you can hold up a product and you can get 10 people in a room to all describe the product different and to give you the potential audience as being different. So having access to the data signals from a tool like AMC is allowing you to validate that the audience is who you think it is.
Super interesting. Speaking of creative, what's working and what's holding brands back?
Well, listen, I'll say in general, creative is holding brands back because a lot of brands will have a reluctancy to want to move into these types of tools because they don't have the creative or they don't feel like they have a television quality ad to run. And so we talk about like what's changed in the last year. One of the other things that Amazon has worked to truly democratize is the creative side of the business. And so within your Amazon ad console today, you can get access to the creative studio. And the easiest way to describe this is a set of AI tools that take you from an ASIN to a full video, an ASIN to an audio ad, or an ASIN to an image. And this is really creating an opportunity for brands to get in and start playing around and understanding with what's out there and what's possible. And so I'm not going to say you don't need to go create full production type of ads because full production ads still do very well. They still perform very well. But for brands who have a more limited budget, there are plenty good enough ads that you can create to start demonstrating that these are investments that you want to be making prior to hiring a production crew, writing a commercial, and, having that all done.
This episode of Beyond the Shelf is brought to you by It's Rapid. It's Rapid is the platform Pepsi, Mondelez, Instacart, and hundreds of other leading brands and retailers use to build personalized content at scale. Whether that's images, videos, or product descriptions for their product detail pages, shoppable videos or banners for their digital ad campaigns, or sell sheets for sales enablement, brands that use It's Rapid are able to produce high-quality, on-brand content on average more than 80% faster than category competitors. To find out more, please visit itsrapid.ai.
And talking about AI, how much hype are you seeing and how much real-world use are you seeing?
Yeah, so, AI is a term that, at Amazon, it's literally integrated into everything that we do. It's been part of our fabric since we've started. On a personal note, I use AI daily. So I'm constantly in different AI type of systems, whether it's writing, whether it's editing, whether it's creating images. There's a lot of people who want to say it's hype, but the truth of the matter is that it's here. It's impacting us in how we're doing our daily operations. We're starting to see it roll out across our partner network. A lot of the AI kind of started by having intelligent type of recommendations and suggestions where the AI is looking at vast amounts of data and trying to help calculate what should be happening and what shouldn't be happening. The next step of that is what I call what is called in the industry the co-pilot phase, which is I'm going to have this kind of central system. I can come in, I can ask it questions. It knows how to kind of navigate my data and my information to give me the responses back that I need. And we're slowly starting to see a few of our partners, a couple of them have announced it in the last month, starting to work on the deep research agentic AI side of the space. And this is where you're not getting an immediate response from AI, and you're setting up AI to do a very heavy, analysis for you. And then it's taking 10, 15 minutes for it to come back. But when it's coming back, it's doing days or weeks worth of work to analyze, how did I perform this month? What campaigns are working? What type of adjustments need to be made? Where should I be making additional investments? Where should I be reducing investments? Those are all the kind of questions that it can ask. And then that's empowering the ads manager to really go back and kind of inspect the work that they're doing. And so I don't think we're at the point yet where the AI is spitting out recommendations and we're just saying, okay, great, hit a button, accept them all. But it is coming back where the AI is passing a bunch of information back to the ads manager or to the e-commerce manager that's making suggestions and recommendations of what they can be doing for their business. And then a further level of inspection is done, and then some or all of those changes are made. And if you're using AI on a daily basis, which I'm an advocate and you should be doing, that's how AI works in general, right? It doesn't always give you the response that you want it to, and you have to kind of tweak it. I was playing with AI earlier today, and I asked it to give me 3 words to describe myself. And it came back and it gave me 3 words, and it said to me, you know, why don't you tell me what your 3 words are? Because I'm curious how you would describe yourself. And I thought it was interesting that it asked me. So I gave it, but I didn't give it 3 words. I gave it 4. And it was a little tripped up and basically was saying like, well, you told me I only had 3, but you gave me 4. But one of the words you used is entrepreneurial. And I can see how you have an entrepreneurial spirit by the fact that you broke the rules and you gave me 4 instead of 3. And my response back to the AI was, I never told you that 3 was a limit. I just said, give me 3. And so like, that's kind of where we're at with AI, is that like AI imposes limits, whether we want them to impose limits or not. And we have to inspect those because there are times that the human will choose to break a limit that maybe once was set, that the AI wouldn't know how to break that limit, right? So from an advertising perspective, if you tell it your budget's 100,000, it's never going to go over 100,000. But you may ask the question of, well, what happens if I had 120,000? Would you do something different?
First off, what a great example. And second, what a great example of being the incredible storyteller that you are. I love both aspects of that. I'd love to spend a moment to talk about some of the other Amazon ad formats. You mentioned streaming and video earlier. Will you expand on those a little bit? What's going on there, and how do I execute, especially when it comes to video?
Yeah, I think the word that I've heard over and over again is incremental reach, right? And so when you're looking at advertising and you're looking at channels and you're looking at where you should invest, the question is where can I get incremental reach? And so when you look at a tool like Prime Video or Amazon streaming video in general, where you bring Fire TV and other properties into the mix, and then you bring in like our new partnership with Roku, that gives you close to 80 million households that are watching streaming television. And I'm going to hopefully get this stat right, but 40% of those are incremental, meaning that they're not watching linear TV, right? And so that becomes a really important, critical point, because as a brand who's trying to advertise, the question is like, where am I going to advertise? Am I reaching them through other means? And how can I get their attention? I heard this data point the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. I was with a team from Wondery, the podcast company, and they offer all kinds of different ads within podcasts, right? So there's the ad where you can have the podcast host read the ad for you. There's others where you just have pre-recorded ads that are just kind of playing within. What's really interesting that they pointed out was that Wondery has an additional incremental reach. And what they said was that there are people who don't watch linear TV, who don't watch streaming TV, but they listen to podcasts. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, wait a minute, that's my wife. Like, my wife does not really watch television. She maybe will sit down with me while I'm watching some live sports. But for the most part, she reads and she listens to podcasts. And so if you're trying to reach somebody like her, you have to think about, what's the incremental reach I need to get to her? And podcasting would be the way to do it. And so each of these avenues, whether it's streaming video, whether it's live sports, whether it's podcasting, have the ability to reach incremental shoppers that you're not reaching through other mediums. In the same regard, Amazon advertising is about repetition. And so by advertising within the Amazon DSP, both our owned and operated and third-party supply, you can control your frequency so that you're not sending them the ad too many times. And then you can use tools like AMC to look at your frequency reporting to understand what is the optimal number of times that I need to show an ad to somebody to drive the action that I want to drive.
The takeaway is incrementality, and how do I think about getting additional reach and being in front of people enough, not too much, not too little, but just at the right frequency.
Yeah, I mean that's the key of advertising in general, right? How do you place the right message in front of the right audience at the right time to drive the action that you want? And we know that as marketers, it's not about an ad one time that drives a transaction. It's about building into a consumer. It's about building trust, right? We ran a test with a fitness company to drive subscriptions to their fitness store, meaning people coming in and buying it. And they were able to do that through the Wondery podcast, because when a podcast host has a connectivity with its audience, right? People are listening to you because they've built trust with you. They understand you. And if you go and you tell them that you're using a particular tool or you're using something to help better your life, the people that are following you are going, well, it worked for David. Maybe I want to think of it for myself. And so there's an authenticity that exists in advertising, whether you're using celebrity endorsements, influencer endorsements, podcast endorsements, or whether you're just putting your ad into the right genre of content to match the type of user who would potentially buy your product. And I think Amazon has, with its billions of signals, the ability to really hone that in a way that is hasn't been able to really be done before.
I love it. So we've covered a lot of ground. I have so many more questions. I might have to bring you back for an AI only episode, but I do want to ask you one last question about measurement, which is, we've heard ROAS, we've heard lots of different KPIs. What should we be measuring these days? What matters, and what's a useful way to do measurement in the space?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think that the answer is going to be different for everybody who's listening. It's also going to be different for each product in your catalogs. And it depends on where your product is in its product life cycle. So if you're launching a new product, you're making investments to build a brand, you need to be making some of those investments, and you need to be looking at reach. You need to be looking at things beyond ACost and tacos, because your brand isn't well known and it's not going to drive the conversions on day one. If your product is end of life, right, you may want to focus more on just your ACost and tacos because you want to move your inventory. So it kind of depends on where your product is. The beauty of it is that today we have a lot of metrics that help us understand what is our new to brand ratio, right? So we have a 5-year look back window that allows us to say, what's the impact of a new customer on not just the last 30 days, the last 13 months, but now the last 5 years. And so each of these become kind of different analysis that you can do for your business to understand what kind of investment you're making, how that investment is paying off, and where you want to double down on that investment.
Jeff, as usual, I have 100 more questions and not enough time, but I loved your answers and our conversation. We've got the rapid rundown for you, a few fast-paced questions, just your quick thoughts. And I'm going to give you one more AI question, which is, what's a day-to-day example of where you're putting AI to work?
So I'll give it on my personal side. I used AI to prepare all of my tax documents for my accountant, for my books. I used AI to plan trips. I've used AI to, find answers for my kids who are going to college to understand. I used AI. This was a great one. I used AI to program a smart house for my father-in-law, where AI literally gave me the step-by-step instructions I needed to make his blinds, and he wanted to open the door and have the blinds open and turn the lights on. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I got AI basically showed it to me in a matter of minutes. So I am a believer that I'm not going to lose my job to AI. If ever I'm going to lose my job to somebody who knows how to use AI. And so I want to keep myself very sharp on the sword, if you will, on this technology.
All right. What's a retail media buzzword that needs to go?
Oh, the retail media buzzword that needs to go are the ones that are kind of made up metrics. And I don't want to like call anybody out by putting this metric out there, but when a metric's being used by one particular provider and not by others, it's a metric that was designed to kind of benefit that provider, right? So I would look for consistency across the metrics that are being used and to see if there's an agreeable definition of what it is so that you can actually understand what impact it has.
Makes sense. Your favorite ad campaign, Amazon or otherwise, that you've seen in the last year?
Well, I liked a lot of them from, I love a lot of what Elf Beauty does. And what Elf Beauty does is really ties into social media and finding social media trends and then bringing them into the ad campaigns that they're doing. I find that fascinating. I also like and I don't have a specific example, but I like the companies that are using social media trends, picking up on them and then trying to double down on them. Cheetos is a good example of that, where they identified the Cheeto dust and all the campaigns that were being made and how they turned products, right? They created a Cheetos mac and cheese because they saw that people were taking Cheetos, grinding them down and putting them on mac and cheese. So social media has got a great opportunity for product expansion, for social media influence, and it's a great area for brands to discover.
Most underrated ad format on Amazon right now?
Well, I'm probably going to slide in Wondery here just because I've seen it a few times with some brands. You can get in for a fairly decent budget. You don't need a super high budget. You may not be able to have Travis Kelce read your ad for you, but there's a lot of really deep niche hosts that have very tight connections with their audience. And if you've never tested podcasting, I'd say it's something to give a try.
One thing you always have in your backpack for a conference?
Oh, so what I've been traveling with lately is a humidifier. Because hotel rooms are so dry, I have a little travel humidifier that when I get to my hotel, I plug in so that when I wake up in the morning, my throat isn't dry.
Great idea. Now, if Amazon Ads had a mascot, what or who would it be?
Well, Amazon Ads has a mascot. Amazon has a mascot. His name is Peculiar because we consider ourselves to be a very peculiar culture, and so I think they call him Pecky is the mascot. He's I don't know. You'd have to Google Pecky to see what he looks like. He's kind of an amalgamation of like an Amazon logo that's kind of a puzzle piece. I don't know. Look it up and see if that makes any sense to you.
Jeff, if our listeners want to reach you, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. Jeff Cohen, Amazon. I should come up. I used to tell people Jeff Amazon, but that other guy who's got a bigger yacht than me tends to come up ahead of me.
So great.
One day.
Yes, one day we'll be interviewing you from the yacht. Jeff, always a pleasure. So insightful. You have such a great way of distilling all of these interesting surfaces, data, and insights down into something actionable, practical, and concrete. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me on Beyond the Shelf.
Thanks, Dave.
That's it for this week's episode of Beyond the Shelf. If you enjoy the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. It really helps us grow. And feel free to share us with your colleagues so they too can hear weekly perspectives from the brightest minds in e-commerce. You can also check us out on LinkedIn, where we post clips from each episode, share Dave's takes on breaking industry news, and much more. Beyond the Shelf is a production of It's Rapid. Our host is Dave Feinlieb, and our producers are Sean Levy-Ashvili and Jake Musiker. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Shelf.